thinking at the moment. It's probably started, but g'day, Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs, episode 53, and we've got a new guest on the show today. G'day, D. How you going, mate? Nice to meet you.
Mick. Yeah, you too, Mick.
We'll get straight into it, mate. How long have you been supporting the Bulldogs for?
I started in 85 when the Bulldogs beat the Dragons in the 85 grand final. My whole family were Dragon supporters, so I grew up sort of without having any say in it. But when they beat the Bulldogs in 85, Bulldogs beat the Dragons, yeah, I was on board since then. I grew up in the Bulldogs area, so just seeing every shop, covered in blue and white, I was just drawn to it straight away. So, yeah, love it.
Yeah, bloody brilliant, wasn't it? Stephen Mortimer, they changed the rules because he kept Dragons in their in goal, just put bomb after bomb after bomb for about half a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we've got to reward a team that catches the ball in goal. Anyway, good memories. The Dragons, I think, they won the other two grades that year. They were minor premiers, I think, in 3 grades.
Yeah.
And it was just great to see the Dogs smash them and beat them 7-6. Flogged them. And it's funny that the Morris brothers ended up at Canterbury together years later when they were their dad was the most dangerous player for the Dragons, Stevie Morris.
Yeah.
So, mate, how are you feeling after the win at Belmore on the weekend?
Yeah, very good, man. Very good. I predicted a hard game. I thought it was going to be close. I think we see the Brisbane game probably wasn't as good as it was when the Gold Coast put a score on them as well. But, yeah, Canberra, they're just such a tough team. They turn up. They probably don't have the X-factor players that they need to win those kind of games. But, yeah, it was great. It was good. And looking forward to next week.
I will go through some stats in that game because it does tell paint a little bit of a picture. And I think a lot of a lot of fans were just grateful we won and saw that. And a lot of people predicted it was going to be a tough game and we were going to have to play 80 minutes to win. And that Ricky Stewart sides lapped that sort of stuff up. But at the same time, they played really well, the Raiders. While they never really look threatening, there's some stats out of that game that worry me a little bit moving forward that I'm going to talk about. And the Broncos game, it was funny you said that when the Titans put a score on them and actually scored more points than we did, it made me think a little bit, the Broncos are going that bad. But I went and watched the game again, like I sort of watched it flippantly and then watched it again. The Broncos lost Payne Haas and Ezra Mam in that second half. I think they lost Huss real early. So it was, they were weakened down that left edge even more. What's his name? Bloody Reece Walsh went into 5'8". That's never going to work defensively. And they were just getting split apart in that left edge again, which, Desi saw what the Dogs did to him and did the same thing once they were even weaker. So,
yeah, I don't know.
So, look, I think if we'll play the Titans at a Suncorp Stadium or a Seabus, I think it'd be a good game, but I think we'd beat them. I think our defence is better.
Oh, definitely.
But, yeah, I felt the same way when I saw the results. So, what was the most impressive thing to you about the performance on the weekend against the Raiders?
Well, I guess the fact that we just keep staying in the battle. The way we play, I've been waiting for us to have an off game. Like when you see teams that play up for so long, they tend to just have that one game where it just all falls apart. But we haven't had that game, and it's a credit to them. So as long as they keep doing that, I'm feeling confident no matter who we play.
Yeah, it's not easy to do. We've been up for a long time. You're 100% onto it, mate. Really good comments because I've said for a long time, but from the St. George game, pretty much since Magic Round when we lost to the Raiders, I'm looked at every single game in the draw and gone, all these teams are sort of on the same points at that point of the season. Everyone's still in with the show. Every game, every team we play is going to basically say they got to beat the Bulldogs to make the 8.
Yeah.
And since that game, I think we've won like 8 out of 10 matches. So it's been impressive. They've really put in a lot of effort. They've gone with some teams like where they've actually, you've seen there's been the ball's been in play for a long time, and it's just been that grind. Even against the Broncos, they tried to go with us in that grind for a little bit, and they faltered. They were the first to falter. So we did that with the Penrith Panthers, and that was probably the best 20 minutes I'd seen from two sides going against each other all season. It was earlier, though. But since that point, it's just been the same. Every game has been like a semi-final for us. So,
yeah. I think the Brisbane game was maybe that game that we had that just gives us that little bit of a break. We had 2 Golden Point games. We've just had a 4-point game. Like, next week, it's going to be the same. It's going to be a close game, like unless the Dragons give up like they did when we played them earlier. But yeah, every game we play is like a semi-final to the team we're playing and to us at this point in time trying to make a top 4.
Yeah, it's like they're like 4-point games, as people say.
Yeah.
All right, let's say hello to some people who've jumped on. G'day, Hazem. How you going, mate? Welcome back. Haven't heard from you for a bit. He's got a really good fishing channel. He goes out and fishes, so get onto his YouTube channel. Good bloke, family man. He's upset about Jared Sutton being the ref against the Dragons. Well, one thing I can say is that the Dragons and the South Sydney Rabbitohs have a pretty good rivalry, so maybe he might hate them more on the day. Who knows? G'day, Dave. How you going, mate? And Mark. Good evening, gentlemen. Evening, everyone. Good evening, Mark. So we're going to have some fun because Mark's here.
Definitely.
All right. We'll make our heads bigger just so, I'm just trying to see how we do this. Oh, there I'm bigger. Look at all these different little things we've got. That'll do. We've got the dog father riding the dragon up the top there. So, all right, let's get into it. We'll try not to make it all about Mark this week. And I wonder if we're going to see our good friend
the stats man
Cool from last week. Remember Mike Cool and all the statistics? How good was that? I don't know if you saw that last week.
Yeah, no, I saw it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. We don't want to go for 3 hours tonight, guys, so I'll try to stay on top of the comments. But we'll talk about the upcoming game. Let's have a look at the teams that have been named. While I get that ready, D, who was your favourite player growing up?
Well, the obvious one's Terry Lamb. But, I had some other ones. Like, I loved Willie Talau. Willie Talau was one of my favourite players. Just in the centres in 2002, the job he did went a long way to our 17 in a row. Like, Matt Utah wasn't the best defender. He just came in and jammed and saved his ass so many times. So I loved him. James Graham, if we're talking more recent. I loved Sonny Bill early days, but it's kind of, you can't really say his name anymore. So, yeah.
I love Sonny Bill. I reckon he did about 95 shoulder charges and not one of them hit anyone in the face.
Yeah, I never saw one hitting it. Yeah. The best one I ever saw was Marcus By in the World Club Challenge.
Oh, yeah, man. Smashed him.
Yeah, I've never seen him get up wobbly. It was brilliant.
Mark says this game this weekend is a preview of our first game in the finals. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Actually.
You want to predict it? It could end that way. We could finish fourth. We might finish sixth, seventh, eighth. We don't know. But
it'd be a huge game at a core. 60,000 you get. Wow.
Yeah, they're talking in the media like the Dragons in the media are talking about like it's the Bulldogs who are pushing for it to be played at a core. It's the media who are suggesting it, and it just
I think they were saying earlier
it makes sense,
Yeah,
but I don't think we would give up this home game if we were playing the Dragons at Belmore. I don't think we would take it to a core. It just wouldn't happen. It would stay at Belmore. So same for them as well.
Yeah, no, I'm good for it.
Let's go through the teams. So an unchanged lineup for us, but there is a change to the extended bench. So we've Gerald Skelton, Jack Underhill, mate. How good's he been going? Absolutely. He's like the love child of Jammer and Booper. Tolman and Graham.
Yeah.
And he plays just as hard and he puts in just as much effort. Might be coming a bit early for him, but that's a great reward for him to be selected on that extended bench with Blake Wilson, Powasa, and Drew Hutchison's there as well. And interestingly enough, Drew hasn't been named in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. He might be our 18th man because you've got to give Darrell some game time.
Well, that's it. So I think Hayes Perham's moved to 5'8" in New South Wales Cup. Yeah. And there's another big surprise on the New South Wales Cup extended bench. Mitch Woods has been named in New South Wales Cup on the extended bench. So that'll be good for him to have a run with basically a lot of top 30 players. And
fuck yeah.
He may get a run. You never know. But let's look at the St. George side. Terrell Sloan, Zach Lomax, Moses Sully, Max Feagai, one of the really talented Feagai brothers, Christian Tuapolotu, who's been in really good form, Kyle Flanagan, who has been doing his job each week, Ben Hunt, fabulous Frankie Molo, Jacob Little, Jack DeBellin, Luciano Leilua, who always causes the Bulldogs trouble in the past, Jaden Sewer, Tom Eisenhuth, and a massive bench in Hamasele, who we were looking at last year apparently, Big Ray, Ryan Couchman, one of the Couchman brothers, him and Toby are absolute, I think are going to could go anywhere in the NRL, these guys. And big bustling Blake Laurie, who, I don't mind him for an opposition player. Then you got Matty Feagai, Michael Molo, Jack Bird and Connor Mullison on the extended bench. I think they're going to possibly put a player like Jack Bird into the top 17 come game day. What's your thoughts on that?
I thought the same thing when I saw him on the extended. I don't know who he comes in for, though. Maybe on the bench.
Yeah, I think they're just too heavy on the bench. And most teams do pick someone who can, have some sort of utility. Maybe they drop a player like Max Feagai. Maybe he gets dropped and they bring in Jack Bird because he is an effort player, Jack. And it's funny enough, like when he was out there, he was doing quite well on Bronson. And when he got that injury, the Dragons went to absolute putty. So being played at Kogarah, it's going to be massive. What's your thoughts? How's it going to be played out?
Yeah, I think very similar to last week. I think we'll just get them at the back end, whether it's holding on or come from behind. But, yeah, I don't think that the Dragons they're not an 80-minute team, although they showed they were last week. But we'll get them. We'll be right.
It's good to be confident. I'm never confident. I think the Dragons, It's funny when I was watching one of the other podcasts, Dibbo, who I like on the Kennel podcast, the Dragon supporter. He just writes off his team and says they got the worst top 30 in the comp. I think that's absolute rubbish. I think they've had an underperforming squad for a long time. Obviously got a nice coach who knows how to coach, who was ran an injection program. Big Mark doesn't like when I talk about this, but he did. I don't think he should be look, at the end of the day, he can coach and everyone knows it. He's a good coach. He's a premiership winning coach. And he's got a team there that's, big enough and strong enough to get on the front foot. And he's got enough talent in his spine and his back line to beat any side in the comp. But it's funny you said that about them. Melbourne Storms last week sort of played like the team that they've looked like all year, but they didn't get the win, if that makes sense. Very
good point, yeah.
Like, to me, they've never been impressive. And there hasn't been too many matches where they've been impressive. And, I'm impressed by individuals in their side, but I look at their forward pack and it's a bit like us in a way, although we're getting all the fanfare. They're sitting 3 wins clear at the top of the ladder.
I actually question whether they have another level to go to. I think most people think they have that. I'm not sure they do.
Well, you'd expect they do because they've done it without half their spine for most of the season.
Yeah.
But it's been the story of the Melbourne Storm since about 2021. They've been really good front runners and then get to semi-final time, just can't go with the Penrith or the other side that's coming good at that time, the other challenger.
Yeah.
Mark agrees that Jack Bird will play. G'day, Pete. He's just joined in. Thanks for coming, my bestie. Mark's me other bestie.
So, hey, Mark, what did you think of Kickout's game?
I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about that. Because the stats don't lie, but they tell you how a game's played more so than how an individual's plays. But anyway. G'day, Dan. How you going, mate? Let's go. If anything, our defence alone could win this game against the Dragons if we attack like we did against the Broncos as well. Shut the gate.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. But look, let's strip it back and go to the Raiders game because, look, I think the Bulldogs can win, but I want to show you some stuff from the stats in the Raiders game, which will line up well for the Dragons, especially being at home. It's something we have to fix. That worried me a lot. So I'm going to get on here and present this. All right, so we won the possession battle, which is good. Completions were identical, 85%. Both teams were up for it, did what they were supposed to do. Raiders, credit to them, played well. We had more of the runs. Average meters per run about the same. Post-contact, very similar. Obviously, per run, ours is a lot less. 4 line breaks each. Now, the line breaks from the Raiders were generated from a specific thing. Tackle breaks, very similar. Average set distance, we had a lot more. They probably had a few more sets on our line, though, to be honest, which does minimise their return. Kick return meters, similar. But here's the one here. 2.94 seconds average play this ball speed, and watch the game again. That was a true reflection. That they were landing on their front and I thought we were doing a pretty good job in that, to be honest.
Yeah.
3.41's, playing at a consistent level, especially for a side that gets dominated a little bit with the small men. But 2.94, if the Dragons are able to get away with that, I think we're going to have situations where we've got players isolated on edges and they will score points if they get into those positions. So I really worry about that stat, and it's something that I think they'll have to rectify. Missed tackles weren't as bad this week. We had 32 to the Raiders 28, but that's still more considering we had more possession in the end.
Yeah.
we made more tackles. Isn't that funny? So you make more tackles, you're going to miss more.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can say this, you know, the stats are the stats. Penalties the same. Ashley Klein, I don't think he's biased. I just think he's incompetent. And there you go. It was pretty much a lot of even stats. But that one stat there, their play the ball speed, could cause us a lot of trouble if we don't, if we aren't able to stop that play the ball of the Dragons, who have a very big side, and players that do fight hard for a yard. What's your thought on that, mate?
Well, that stat shows to me that the referee didn't really control the ruck in regards to, you know, who's the home team. You'd think that the home team would get that, or at least be even.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they got a lot of big bodies, so they take a lot slower to get off naturally. So they have that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a big worry, to be honest. It's like the missed tackles. Missed tackles don't worry me at all. Like, traditionally, defenses they'll rush up in the first two steps, they'll plant, they'll hold, they'll catch the player, and then, you know, they're trying to hold them up so the defense gets set. And in doing that, that player's got the momentum, so they're going to get post-contact meters. But our defense rushes up. They'll have one player shoot up. They'll try and hit and stick. If they fall off the tackle, it slows the momentum. So the next players who are rushing up as well, they'll just hit them and they'll drive them back. So, you know, you can have a 2 meter gain, or you can have an 8 to 10 meter gain, but you'll have a missed tackle. So I'd rather than miss tackle every day of the week.
And I've also noticed there's been some really good technique with the little guys rushing out.
Yeah, Hayward and Mann, they're brilliant.
They're skittling. It's all. Someone said, "Oh, you guys are cannonballing at the legs." I'm like, well, it's not a cannonball when there's no one else holding them. Yeah. It's called a legs tackle. I think the Dogs. I think the game. This is part of the game where I'd love to see a dominant tackle called for a one-on-one tackle around the legs.
Yeah.
That hold, and a 4-second play the ball as the rule. You know, that would be so good for the game. I believe. I really do, and I think it will bring back a lot of just brings balance. I think every time they try and with the rules, they try and change something. Yeah, it gives them what they're looking for in one way, but it takes away from another part. Like there's never balance. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But
the 7 tackle rule is the perfect example of that.
Yeah, yeah. Gus was one of the people to bring out who fought for the 7 tackle rule, but it was only supposed to be for when you kick the ball dead.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was because of Billy Slater.
So to stop people, kicking it deliberately dead. Yeah. On the weekend, there was a lot of chat about Stephen Crichton and the magic moments. And I saw a little video that was created, so I did an extension of it. Against the Titans in round 3, we did the exact same play. I think Burton was the only same player in the movement.
Yep.
It was identical. Jacob Kogarah playing at centre, at right centre in round 3 against the Titans, gets the ball in the same spot, pushes everyone out and scores a try. Critter does the same thing. It just shows you it's not magic. It's actually hard work, repetition, and execution. And God, we've got some players who are executing. Did you see that?
You just cut out then, man. I didn't hear a thing you said.
Oh, sorry. How long to cut out for?
When you just first started talking.
Oh, sorry, mate. Bloody internet. It always cuts out. I've got a new bloody thing in here and that. But anyway, I was basically saying that through hard work and execution, we've been executing a lot of the same plays. Yeah. Belmore in round 3 against the Titans, Jacob Kogarah with the exact same move that saw Critter score the first try against the Raiders on that right edge. Kogarah did the exact same thing in round 3. So a lot of people thought that was critter magic, which it was. He still did the job, but Kogarah did the exact same thing in round 3 on that right edge in the same position. To me, it's just how the team has a plan and they're executing a plan every time they go into a game.
Yeah.
So, Dragons are a good spalling team. If we start opening them up, they'll fall apart. They played their game last week, though.
I actually agree with that, Mark.
Mark's got a lot that you can agree with, to be honest. Yeah. He just chooses to alienate himself on points which not many people agree with, but that's all right.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, Pete. I think Hutcho will be 18th man
in NRL.
Yeah, I think so.
Or there could be there might be a case where they want to give a player like Bailey Hayward a break. He's been up for a while. There might be a case where there's a player that needs a rest and they want to bring somebody in. We heard about Ricky doing that with young Savage, who didn't play on the weekend, and he's been an 18-year-old who's just been tough as for the Raiders all season.
Yeah, he's probably Rookie of the Year.
Well, mate, what a great kid.
I'm surprised Hayward hasn't been in that conversation.
He has to be in that conversation.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Mark's pick for hooker to start. Mark thinks that he should have been a hooker for the whole season.
Wow.
But I love Mark. Very true, Mark. When the Dragons-Panthers game down here in the Gone a couple of weeks ago, Panthers picked them apart. Hutchison will play 18, I reckon. Yep, we're all on the same page, Marky. Pete agrees. We'll need to factor in Jared Sutton in the play the ball speed, and it's their home game, not that he needs an excuse to persecute our side.
Yeah, that does worry me.
Yeah, well, given the channel a plug, I was probably the first person in. I don't like doing this, but I was the first person to bring up Jared Sutton's stats against Canterbury, and how he's given no team more penalties than South Sydney.
Yeah.
as a referee. So I brought all this stuff to the attention. It got thousands of views, and now it's being repeated a lot, which is really good because that's what I wanted. The fan base are awake. We could see that he was prejudiced.
Yeah.
We knew it. We already know. But when you've actually got evidence, it's a whole different, kettle of fish. So, But good point, Mark. Very good point. G'day, Sayed. Sayed's going to be at the game, aren't you? I think he's coming from overseas to actually watch the Bulldogs versus Kogarah.
Wow.
Bulldogs versus the Dragons at Kogarah. So that's fantastic. Sorry, mate, I cut you off.
Well, I was just say one of the great things about this year has been our resilience in defending errors. And last year, you could pretty much pinpoint every game where the turning point was, where we dropped the ball and then gave away a penalty, then conceded a try. And you just knew heads were down and then the floodgates opened. But this year, and you saw it early, although the first 2 games weren't the best indication, that every time an error, it's like they've embraced that challenge. And every time that we've been down a man, bad decisions, just everything, we've embraced it. And I think the Melbourne game was probably one of the only ones where we didn't get a chance to make up for that with that sort of Kogarah fucking missed tackle, but
missed his best mate Sean Bloor.
Yeah, so
it sounds sinister when I say it like that, but that's the reality.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's impressed me the most, and so when refereeing, that's another thing we've overcome this year. So you look at he's had us, and we've beaten him. So I don't think I'm not worried anything Like, we've just got so much resilience in the team, and it doesn't matter who's refereeing. We're going to get the job done.
Yeah. Oh, it's great to hear those points too, mate. Very well put. Wish I could say it as good, to be honest. I felt that, yeah, the resilience has been brilliant. Those first couple of games of the season, the amount of defence we did on our own line in those games. We're down 2-0. The same old fans were coming out and wanting to burn Serrato at the stake and get rid of Gus, and they were all prepared to write us off. But you could see, and I think that you said it perfectly. It's like they embrace the challenge of having to defend mistakes, and they know they're going to make mistakes. They know things are going to go against them. And one thing I've mentioned a few times is Serrato's never ever spoke up against the refs, and the first time he did was, so he didn't say a word last year, but was against the Sharks this year in round 2. He said, "Well, we were. It was a parity type match. It was a 50-50 game, and we had periods of dominance. So we should have got some of the 50-50s, and we didn't."
That's right.
Yeah. And it's like he set the scene for the side that if you don't go and earn the right with your defence, you don't deserve to get the calls your way. And I think that's a fantastic mindset to have as a coach. So I think it's just good to see. I can see it coming through you and what you said, the confidence coming through yourself. And, I think that's how the club feels. I think that's how the players, more importantly, feel. And the fans are now on board with it. And bloody hell.
Don't get me wrong. I know that we're beatable. I don't think that we're unbeatable or anything like that. But I go into every game with the confidence that they're going to put in and they're going to play for each other, and it's great to see because that's what I grew up watching. Yeah,
mate, the effort is just, we just know they're in with a chance. I make comparisons to teams in AFL like the Sydney Swans who got smashed on the weekend by the way, but for the last 15, 20 years, they're a team that never beats itself and always are in the fight. But anyone could beat them, but they could beat anyone. And they won a few premierships along the way. I see as us, I think that's what Gus is trying to build, is a club that, and Serrato's the man to do it. We won't be outworked. I've heard him say that a few times. That's, if you don't get outworked, if you put in more effort, if you get knocked down, you get back up again. If you try and rectify and see everything as a challenge and welcome it, good things are going to happen at the end of it.
Yeah.
On answer the question of kick out, who'll be better as an injury comes good. The bigger the game, the better he'll be. If he is somewhere near 100% September, look out.
Wow.
Nice answer, buddy.
Yeah.
That Raiders game, statistically, we saw a big difference in that game, and just to get the Raiders game out of the way, looking forward to St. George. But when we're looking at statistics, against the Broncos, we attacked their left edge in defence, so our right edge had the ball. Their left edge attacked our right edge all day. So it was played down one side of the field.
Yeah.
I think Kikau only had like 15 or 16 tackles and a couple of misses. But I still felt his effort was a 7 out of. I still felt he was a 7 out of 10 with his execution on what he did. First in the kick chase, missed a couple of things. Didn't have as many carries as he would have liked, but the game wasn't played that way. Come to the Raiders game this week, they attack our left edge of defence for the entire match. Right. They go that short side, and all pretty much everything was happening on the one side of the field. Bronson Cherry was getting the ball. The Fox was getting the ball. Crichton was coming from the other side of the field to get involved.
Yeah.
And Kikau made made about 33 tackles, and I think he made 140 metres or something. So the context of the game and the way that the game plan they had as a team and the way the opposition were coming at them determines where the stats land. And I think it's like,
I actually thought he had some really good carriages.
Hey,
I thought he had some really good carries out of yardage. That's not really, his sort of go. But there was a few times where we needed it, and he took some big runs, which shows where he's at. That's good.
what did you think about Bronson Cherry's game on the weekend?
Yeah, he's been solid all year. You can't really fault him too much. Even when he missed tackles, he gets back and chases like he did in that Warriors game. Like he set up Fox. So that was good. I think he's a great player.
I think it was his best game as a Bulldog. He just had them. He just asked questions of the defence the whole game. They gave him the opportunity to showcase what he could do. I think he's also been a little bit injured along the way, which you'd expect.
Definitely.
He seemed a lot fresher on the weekends with him without the ball, and caused them trouble for the entire match. And they kept going there. And then, then we surprised them with some other elements of the game. But the person I was most impressed with on the weekend, obviously Critter we don't win the game without Critter, but we don't win the game without these other guys as well. And but Harry Hayes, to have to come in and play in the middle, Mark says he reminds him of David Clemmer. He's a lot small. He's smaller than David Clemmer. He might fill out that way, but he's a centre come back rower who played in the middle, got hammered the first time he ran it off the back fence, got up, played the ball quick, and kept going. And what a bloody great effort. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, he's great. As I said to you earlier, I think he reminds me of Josh Jackson more so than any other player. I love him. Uncompromising, just hardworking, just hits hard, runs hard. He's everything you want in a Bulldog player. He's sort of a bigger, faster Moran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I probably still trying to work out is not utilising Lip Boy Hot Boy again. And we saw it a few times last year as well, where there was a player left free, and I just felt there was an opportunity where they could have been utilised, especially with Curran copping that injury and having to come back on. That's one thing I'm trying to work out.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because you understand the theory behind you need an extra player just in case, I guess. I don't know, but why would you stunt their sort of their career? It's a bit like Skelton playing 18th man all the time. They need game time. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, they do try to rotate them, I can see, but I didn't think. I probably thought Skelton wouldn't be the 18th man last week, but apparently, I forgot to mention this. There was 3 or 4 players with the flu. It was probably COVID or cold or COVID.
You could hear it in Matty Burton's voice. Talking pre-game. Yeah.
So I thought that maybe. So when he explained that, that's why. So he had all these players there that had to be ready to come on at short notice and be utilised. And the fact that Kogarah didn't train for 2 days, and I think who was the other one he said didn't train? Was it Curran or someone? Where it was. It was someone important. They're all important.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they were sick. They were crook as a dog, and literally, and couldn't train or do anything. And also felt Sam Hughes' first stint was really good as well and really important. And he had some really good carries.
I felt like he was the reason they scored their first try. They scored under the post, and he was sort of defending where the second rowers defend, which pushed Preston under the post from outside. So it kind of looked like it was Preston's fault, but I think Hughes should have been there. So,
I'm sure Serrato's pinpointed what went wrong there. I think the issue was that we just couldn't keep them down to play the ball. They were just on such a roll there after that little break they made, and that's one thing they're very good at. The Raiders is actually when they play that rush play and they're close and they've got the speed and momentum, they can find points. They did it twice. Did it to us twice against in Magic Round.
Well, I thought we did well to shut down. Yeah, I thought we did well to shut him down.
We did. He came in looking for some work and had a couple of good contributions. But
he's such a grub too. Have you noticed?
Yeah, Reed had a little. Reed was like smiling at him, which was good, trying to get him try and unsettle him.
Yeah,
which was good. Mark says, Folks says Cherry's best game in a Dogs jersey as a result of Addo-Carr outside him. Fox's presence keeps defenders thinking twice about jamming, which allows Cherry to do what he did. Really fucking intelligent comment.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, man.
I actually wrote that on the Facebook page, that exact thing, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps you watch in the Origin last year when Bradman Best scores or his tries, and you watch the winger, they don't come in on him, so it allows him a one-on-one with the centre. But normally that winger will jam in, but you can't with the Fox. And they did when he scored his try. So it just shows.
Well, that's right. The Fox didn't get the ball for the first two games, and then when they started to jam in on Bradman because he was carving them up, he got the quick balls out of the Fox who scored.
He's such an asset. Defensively, he needs to work on his game, but yeah, in attack, I wouldn't swap him for anyone.
He actually had to work quite a bit in defence on the weekend because they attacked that side. I think he had to make 7 or 8 tackles, which is a lot for a winger.
If you watch the try that they scored through the kick, he turns the wrong way. So if he turns on the inside, he actually can follow the ball and cover Cherry. But he turns blindly and then he doesn't see where the ball is and he just stays on his winger. So I thought that was a bit of a selfish play, but it might be just nitpicking.
Yeah, we can nitpick, but at the end of the day, it's so hard what they do.
Oh, no, yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I think backtracking a little bit when you're talking about the resilience of and how they embrace the challenge of errors and stuff.
Yeah,
that's the last 4 or 5 years we've had the Ockenbaugh effect, and I don't say that disrespectfully, but it's like the whole club, the whole team, the whole fan base. Every time Jaden would knock the ball on, would just know that we're about to get scored against in the next set.
That's a good point, isn't it?
And Brandon Wakeham had the same thing. And that's what I really worry about because Drew Hutchison copped a lot of crap at the start of the year. And people were sort of starting to put him into that boat. Hayes Perham, another one. I think it's one of the, I suppose, kickbacks of it's going to happen at every club. It's going to happen, but it's just such a detrimental thing. And I think the more that people can educate themselves about the game of footy, and sort of see the bigger picture, I think the less crap they can dish out to some of our own players and that. But,
yeah, well, I guess it's people commenting without an educated opinion. You know what I mean? So maybe if you haven't got that sort of knowledge, just maybe don't say anything. But everyone has a right to say whatever they want. So good luck.
Yeah, people enjoy footy however they want to, and it's all right for me to say don't be like that. But I think one of the other things is too people don't. I made comment of this on my own profile is that people make a lot of comments just by looking at stats and just by watching highlights of the tries.
Or listening to the commentators.
Or just, I turn them off most of the time so I can actually see what's happening. And then go back and watch one player and stuff, which you can do in rugby league because it captures pretty much everything. Can't do it in AFL. You have to go to the game, which is completely reversed. Because they can't have the whole so much happens off the ball.
Because the game's 360 as opposed to 180.
Yeah. Rugby league's just made for TV, and I think we see it with stuff that's happened at the Olympics where people are commenting about stuff because they think it's one thing, but it's actually another. And even with Simon, the drummer, who there's some silly dog fans. I actually just watched another video which has shows it from another angle on what happened, and he was pissed off they'd lost. He was copping it from some people, and but the drummers and that were actually just trying to get him into drum. But the one guy who wasn't a drummer come in from behind and was going to lift him up because he lifted up another Canberra player earlier somewhere else onto his shoulders, and they were all laughing and having a great time. So he thought he was going to do the same with him.
Yeah.
One of the guys tapped him on the head. That's one of probably and he just didn't want. He just wanted to go home. He didn't want to deal with it. But the way it's been translated from his mouth through the media, I just go, no, that's not a true reflection of what happened. And what annoys me is a lot of the fan base is sort of coming out and basically saying, oh, turning on the Bulldogs fan base. Our own, it's too much virtue signalling. And
yeah,
I want to back our club, you know what I mean? I want to back our fans too. Those drummers are out there. They turn up to every game and they're drumming, those guys.
Oh, yeah.
They're passionate, dedicated supporters. And yet there's all these virtue signalling from other channels and from other groups sitting there saying, oh, they're not real fans and they're only just jumping on the bus. At the end of the day, we've had 11 wins and 8 losses. We're still a long way from being a top 2 team. Although we're playing well.
Yeah.
The party seems to have started, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah, you got to enjoy it while you can, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the message to any fans watching this, if you get passionate at games and stuff, and I do, just remember you got a Bulldogs jersey on, because if you do something that another fan does in another jersey, they're going to look at you first. You know what I mean? And I've been called, I go to Suncorp Stadium, get called rapists by 11-year-old kids. I've been to Shark Toyota Park a few years ago, and because they're calling me all the names under the sun, these guys, and really aggressive about it, because there was only about 20 Bulldogs players in the whole place. It was when Cronulla were doing really well.
Yeah.
In 2016 and that. They were horrible, mate. But I'm in their territory, so what? You're going to get hostility from a hostile crowd that's passionate. I don't get it.
Yeah. What are you expecting?
All right, let's get on to it. Mark says it was Bronson's best game, but he needs to find a pass to add to his game. I'm pretty sure he's got about 4 try assists for the Fox, but anyway.
A flick pass? What kind of pass do you need?
I think that break that he made, kind of the defense of Tomoko stopped him from passing it to Connor Tracy, and he did well to hold on to it. And the Fox came inside instead of staying on his outside.
That's right.
So I couldn't have an issue with that. So, and I like the fact that he goes for it and runs it, because as old mate was pointing out, Pokemon and yourself, it stops them from jamming in. That's because the Fox is out there, and if he holds the ball, they're going to come off their wing, and then he's going to pass.
Like he did to score.
Won us the game, basically. Pete's quietly nervous, as he was last week and the week before and the week before and the week before that, like me and you and everyone else. Those fans say, well, what, 30 or 40, beware. Another tough one. They'll have their tails in the air after defeating the number 1 team playing at home.
Yeah, I was nervous. I wasn't nervous last week until I saw them play the Storm. But then thinking about it, they're one team that can lose by 40, and I don't fear those teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, if they're going to be one of those teams like Souths when they got runner-up, where they lost by 50 early in the year, I don't think the Dragons are that level where they can turn that around.
Up by the Roosters twice. We put 40 on them. They're not a top 4 team. We haven't been beaten by 30 all year. So, yeah, we'll win.
I say from visually looking at the Dogs, we have played like a top 5 team all year.
Yeah.
consistently. Yeah. And that's such a bloody good thing to feel and see. You know, I haven't had that feeling of our side for a long time.
That's right.
Harry's way taller than Josh Jackson. I think it's more about the mindset, brother, and the attitude and the effort.
Yeah.
And Clem is a lot slower than Harry Hayes. Harry Hayes could run 100 metres about a second or 2 seconds faster. G'day, Adam. How you going, mate? Mark wants to know when Max King is back. Does anyone know? Pete says round 25 with a question mark. Any thoughts, D?
Yeah, I saw him do an interview and he mentioned he was aiming for round 25, but optimistically. I guess it'll all depend on how season's going at that point and whether you'd want to rush him back if that's, you know, I don't know.
Adam, this is D. D comes on in the chat quite a fair bit, so you've talked to him quite a lot already. Shout out to you.
No,
am I picking on which stats are those, Mark? I don't think they're your stats. I think they're the game stats. You just seem to think that they mean different things. Have you heard of the channel called The Touchline? They're mad Bulldogs fans too, and he films a video at the game, which is why they're called The Touchline. Yeah, Adam, it's I'm a subscriber to those guys. They're very passionate. They did some really good, funny skits at the start of the year. They actually interviewed Phil Gould at Joe Bell's as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're very passionate fans. They were one of the people virtue signalling about saying the fans and this and that should be ashamed of themselves and we're apologising on behalf of the club. But if you watch all their Touchline podcasts, they get stuck into some, especially one of the guys on their group, gets stuck in opposition fans as much as they get stuck into him. So, you know, there's no humility there, I can tell you that much. But anyway, yeah, I love watching it, Adam. I love those guys, love their passion. And that's the great thing about YouTube is we can go and watch all these things whenever we want. And it's all about the Bulldogs. And you can learn some stuff as well. Everyone's got their own ways of viewing things as well. Don't go there, Michael. Mark, I'll go there whenever I want, bro.
There he is, the stats man.
Hope you're well, Mike. What stat have you got for us today? Let's make it. You're gonna have to come on and have your own segment until you break away and do your own thing. Pokemon says Harry Hayes is a beast, and once he's got a few more games under his belt, he's going to be a problem. Yeah, and yeah, he's going to do something special in a game. Yeah, that's going to really influence with a try or a pass or something like that. He wants to play footy. You can see there's something about this guy.
Yeah.
Mike's not overconfident, but I've got faith in the boys to try their best and give their all like every game. Yeah, 100%, man. Mark, that's good, mate. No, that's not how it is. And look, I'm just going to say it. There's a whole bunch of fans who have come on and have called, they're saying them fans, those fans, and they're actually talking about a particular group of people, and I don't like it. All right? There was 18,800, and there would have been about 40 or 50 Canberra Raiders fans there. What do you expect? You're going to get told that. And I've been screamed at numerous places. Now, it's not about whataboutisms, what about them, and we can be better and whatever else. You know, if it's little kids and stuff, no problem. But if you're going to go to that place all dressed up with your stuff and your drum like it's your own home game, we love those supporters and personalities, but you are going to cop it. Like, it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy who put his hands on him and the guy who went to lift him up, they're just idiots and they shouldn't have done it. But that's two individuals. All those, someone giving them the bird on camera, who cares? Every time the Broncos score at Suncorp, they're all looking at you going, because I'm usually crying and screaming and carrying on because the ref's done something wrong. It's just rugby league. Embrace it. Don't be a pussy. There, I said it.
Wow.
Sorry, Mark. I am sorry, Mark. Mike Cool. Max King's aiming for round 25 against the Warriors, which is also Sean Johnson's last game. Reckon they're going to turn up for that there, D? The Warriors?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was looking like the one game we might have had that wasn't going to be a game where a team was going to be up for it. But yeah, great.
And they're already sold out. They've sold out all their games for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that doesn't mean everyone's going to turn up. I wouldn't watch them.
Burko, sorry for joining late. He's going to go back and watch the podcast later. No problems, brother. What? Who's Days? Who are you talking to? Anyway. Tough talking. Yeah, I found them yesterday and I'm a subscriber too. They're awesome. I love watching them. Yep. That's the Touchline podcast. They filmed at the Canberra game. Yeah, they got plenty, man. It's good watching how stressed they get watching the Bulldogs, and they got some little funny clips they do.
The Golden Point games are pretty funny watching them. Yeah.
Oh, mate with the glasses pretends that he rings up Serraldo and tells him what to do. And they go and cut it and edit it to make it look like they predict. I swear they do.
That's clever.
Make sure they get their prediction back in before that. And bunch of funny blokes. Love their vlogs and their podcasts. The Bulldogs Guru's in their house talking about Mike Call. For anyone who doesn't know, Mike Call is the Bulldogs family guru. He sure is, mate. Wish you were living in Belmore when it went nuts and we won. That would have been awesome. Yeah, I was there in 1998, mate. And it got pretty crazy a fair way out from that. Not in round 22, though. It wasn't like that at all. I think a lot of Dogs fans didn't. We were down in like 13th spot. So we got to 9th. And we had to win like 10 of our last 12 to make the top 10 and have results go our way. So, and that team was, you were talking about Willie Talau a bit earlier, D.
Yeah.
He sort of come from nowhere, didn't he?
Yeah. He was a great story. He come over for his 21st birthday. His dad bought him a trip to Australia, and he was playing for Moorebank, just park footy, and the Bulldogs picked him up. 8 weeks later, he's playing in a grand final. It was crazy.
And that was sort of like, it's funny because Bullfrog always went to the end of the earth to find a player and find talent. It literally just landed on our doorstep.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And get that guy a bloody jersey and get him out there.
Yeah, scored a try in the grand final.
When we were up 12-10 at half time, I thought, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Yeah. And I was sitting there cursing at people like Wendell Saylor and that for the rest of the match. And I was in Sydney watching it. And there's this little Broncos fan. I think he was about 12 and I think I was about, 14 or something. And he went, sucked in, mate. A Broncos fan in Sydney, and he was born in Sydney. They're the worst people in the world.
Yeah, that grand final didn't hurt that much because we had our grand final the week before.
Yeah, smashing Parramatta, coming back.
Yeah. Oh, mate. The best game ever.
It just stays in our heads, doesn't it? Like, our lives are pretty good. We can just remember stuff like that.
Yeah.
And go sleep happily at night. Para, what's the matter?
17 wins in a row, 12 wins in a row. Hey, good times.
Even 2002, we were the best team.
Yeah, 17 in a row, man.
And look, a lot of those players were overpaid, obviously, but some of them, we hardly had anyone in bloody representative teams, if you put it that way.
Yeah, well, we did have a few like Kiwis and that.
Yeah. Mangana would have been good for him to win a premiership with the Dogs.
Yeah.
He was a really good player that year and the year after.
Tonga was a good backup. A good replacement.
The Eels too, Willie Tonga.
Yeah.
His battle with Justin Hodges all year was pretty special.
It's fucking awesome.
Because they flogged us by 30, then we flogged them by 30 in the regular season. It's just, what a rivalry that was.
The old Utah Slam.
I'm so glad Mick Crocker fucking dropped the ball too. I'm pretty sure I have it on good word that he did some, mess with some partners of a couple of Bulldogs players. And let them know all about it, and it was true. Anyway. The last time an American won gold in the 100-metre sprint at the Olympics 2004, when the Bulldogs last won the comp. In 2024, an American won gold in the 100-metre sprint. Oh, Bill is the bloke with that's his name, Bill. Yeah, he's a champion. It's funny as. Michael Stone, I think you're just making these stats up. I think Winston's got a lot of these on his tweet, on his X account and stuff. You're watching the bloke not feeling the camera, and I was waiting for him to bite. Got to say, Fox showed why he has to be there. He just uses speed better than any other winger. Yeah, he's the best winger in our club. Followed by Jacob Kiraz. He might be the best winger in our club, or they're equal.
Yeah, I'd keep Kiraz before Fox, but I know what you're saying.
I wasn't around when Bullfrog was, but I read a lot about him and he seems like a legend. Yeah, he was a legend, mate. None better. Let's trot, baby. Never knocked out the Fox. Can tell he loved the Dogs. Mick Winterbine, Paul Carriage was on fire in 1998. Didn't he have a bloody shocker, Paul Carriage?
You got a feel for him, sort of.
Yeah, that video that just says, I think it's called 2 minutes of Paul Carriage or something.
Really?
One fuck up after the other.
He just ran out at one stage.
Aussies, Adam says he met the Fox a few times. Top bloke. We talk from time to time on Instagram. Bloody champion. Say hello to him for me, Adam.
Yeah.
Hi, all up the mighty Doggies. G'day, Scary. Nice to have you back. I've got to head out, but enjoy the rest of the stream, lads. Up the Bulldogs.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for coming on, mate. That's a good thing about the stream. You can come on for a few minutes, watch a bit of it later, have your say, ask a question, give some info, contribute however you want to. It's good, mate. I enjoy it. All right. So what we're going to talk about now is Daniel Suluka Fifita. Did you watch the New South Wales Cup, D?
No, I didn't see it, but I read that he went all right. Got about 30 minutes.
Yeah, so he come on midway through the first half, and his first run, he ran about 20 metres, smashed through the contact, skittle players. it was a bit like watching Franklin Pele. The leg speed is probably something I didn't expect.
Yeah.
For someone coming back from that sort of injury, I thought, I've seen him in games. He can get across the turf, no problem, but he was motoring, man. He was there to play. He's there to show that he wants to come back. He got tired pretty quick.
Yeah. That's understandable. Yeah.
And there were a couple of moments. There was a couple of lucky moments where the game sort of slowed down a bit, and he got to energise himself and have another go and get his second wind. But with the ball, I think he made over 100 metres in 6 or 7 carries.
Oh, that's impressive, isn't it?
He's not a New South Wales Cup player.
So what about his line speed in defence? Was he getting up and back?
He struggled with that, and that's probably the thing that's going to hold him back. And, he's faster than Powasa, though. Powasa is doing everything he can to get into the contact with the ball, doing the best he can without it. He's got a bit more on. He's another level up from Powasa. But together, they could play a huge role in what we do next year.
Yeah.
With that under their belts. I think we're going to need that injection of a big guy. I hope that he can, once he gets that fitness up. There wasn't too many big hits in defence. He led a couple of times, but most of the time he was second or third man in. A little bit. Patolo went all right when he come on as well. I think him having he's come back quicker than I thought from that. I think he had an MCL.
Yeah.
I think he'd be inspired as someone on a 1-year contract fighting for his life to try and get something out of this season and make himself worthy of another contract, which is going to be hard. Everyone knows Wilson is the best. Well, when did you change your name to everyone, Mark? There are people who are on that train and on that bandwagon, but as we say, there's no substitute for experience. Wilson and Skelton are next men up. They're going to be with the club next year, which is a good thing. I don't know if people saw the tweet from Phil Gould about Gerald Skelton, but he said that he was meeting with his manager. If he's talking about that, he's going to sign him. Cherry will be extended. I don't think Hayes Perham will be. I don't think Liam Knight will be, but I don't know. That's just my gut feel. We're going to talk about Tom Amone in a minute because, D watches quite a bit of the Super League and has been keeping a real good eye on him. So he's going to tell me how he's going. But I just want to sort of create the scenario, guys, that there's going to be some youngsters leave our club. This is what you have to expect. We've got such depth in that back line. We've got players like Jacob Carraz, Critter, Blake Taff, Connor Tracy, Blake Wilson, who can all play a whole range of positions. Wilson can play fullback. He can play wing. Carraz can play anywhere in the back line. Critter can play anywhere in the back line. So some of these young kids, we've got the Young Halves Academy. There's a few young halves that are going to make it through. Some aren't going to make it through. There's some young fullbacks out there. There's some hookers and that who may not stay with the club. We lost one to the Dragons.
Yep.
From Harold Matz, who's Mason Phillips, is a really good player from Queensland. So he's gone to the Dragons and he's going to get a faster pathway to the NRL. So this is just the way it is. And these kids, if they get that opportunity of a top 30 spot with the club, we've got the younger Saleh brother. He'll be leaving the club. It was reported on, I think, Zero Tackle or something like that.
Yeah.
Some of these kids have got managers that want to be managers, managers who know there's opportunity. Well, let's put it more fair way. They know there's opportunities at other clubs to be fast tracked and where they can get more money right now. And the Dogs are playing. It's a similar system to Penrith. Some of those Penrith kids have been in their system for 5 to 7 years and never been in the top 30, but they stay there and they keep staying there. But some leave. The competition is riddled with Penrith juniors. Soon it's going to be riddled with Canterbury juniors because that's where we're heading. And it's already started. We're going to lose some young players. They're going to get some opportunities, and there's nothing we can do about it except say, yep, you should take it. That's what's going to happen. And I'm just preparing people for that because the Dogs want to win premierships as soon as they can. The fans have waited long enough, and there's some pathways have been blocked for some players, but that's just the reality of rugby league. So I just wanted to get that out there. What's your thoughts on that, D?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We're going to lose a lot of good players. Not that Harrison Edwards was a good player, a great player, but he's an example of a young player that we probably wouldn't have thought of letting go last year. But with how good our utilities that have come in are going, and then the development that we're seeing, there's going to be a lot of players we let go. So we've just got to try and find, hopefully keep the right ones. We're going to make wrong decisions, but just hopefully we can keep as many of the best ones as we can.
Well, we saw a player like Reece Hoffman who's quietly retired, right? And he had a lot of knee injuries. He played one game of NRL for the Tigers and never played NRL at the Bulldogs. Made the 18th, 19th man a few times, in and out with injury. Come into the top 30 a couple of times, then went out of it. If you're a good human and you work hard and you do all the right things at Canterbury, they're going to take care of those players. And they're going to try and help find them another club as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing all the time. And the people with the attitudes who are like believe they should be in first grade when they're not being picked or have got issues, it's understandable because they've got their families around them telling them that, well, you've got the talent. We believe in you. You should be in the top 30. Why is this other idiot in there? That's what their families are telling them, and you can get that. And their managers are trying to get more money for them, right? They're all trying to do the best they can.
Yep.
But when those values don't line up with a club, though, that says club first, team second, individual third.
Yeah.
And I look at Penrith, and that's what I see in their club, and that's what I see in a lot of clubs, and that's what Canterbury are trying to get back to.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a whole system and a whole club that's just desperate just to represent that jersey and represent this Australian-wide brand called the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about this, D? Burko says we need a big guy sometimes to worry against teams like the Roosters. That dish going to be too big and powerful when it gets to the big games.
Well, when you were talking about Fifita, I was thinking, that's probably maybe a Spencer Leniu origin sort of type player to come on for 15 minutes and just wreak havoc. Not worry about his defense too much and line speed. Just try and bend the back, trying to bend the opposition back. So maybe that's what we need. I can't really. When I look at our team, I always think we need more big players, but they just keep proving me wrong. So I don't know.
It's like we keep doubting them, and the opposition keep doubting them as well, and it's bringing them all undone.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a doubt. It's just more from what we've seen and what we know. So we're changing the mold in a way.
And do you think that's Serrano or the whole club have come up with that, or it's like they've playing to their? I think Bellamy said it really good when they just beat us. He said Canterbury Bankstown are playing really well.
Yeah.
And they're playing to the team that they've got.
Yeah, well, I find the best coaching is when you play to your strengths, But I didn't see any of that last year. So, you know what I mean? Like nothing. Like I didn't see any of that. I didn't see anyone improving in their game other than Preston, who just came on and just kept getting better. No one was really getting better. So I don't know if you can really put all the credit to Serraldo, or if everyone's bought into the system and it's a flow-on effect of that. So it's hard to say, really.
It is hard to say. From what I've been made aware, is that he is behind. He's hands-on from the system to the pathways all the way through, and essentially what he wants is a mirror image from the 14-year-olds all the way up to the first graders. I think they're going to want something similar with the women as well, with the work ethic, all the things they're looking for. A player can have all the talent in the world, but if they're not ticking off all these boxes, they're not going to progress with Canterbury.
Yeah. No, and I completely agree in terms of defensive, but where does that leave us in the sense of who came up with the way that we play offensively? Like the small ball sort of theory, like that doesn't really align with the way that say Penrith play in it, because they still have big forwards and that they play on effort. But yeah, so I don't know if it's just, I think Jason Taylor has a lot to do with it.
Definitely, he's very smart.
And I think that maybe even the senior players like Critter and that, and they've probably had a voice as well to probably say, this is what our strengths are, and let's work towards that a bit more. Because I didn't see it last year.
Because, from all reports last year, they focused heavily on connection with each other.
Yeah.
But they didn't have enough, and fitness-wise, they couldn't get to the level that they needed to get to.
But they also
which they're now at. So it's taken them 2 years, 2 pre-seasons to get to that level of fitness. And it's funny because all the guys that were there last year that have remained in the club are all better this year than they were last year. So I think Max King said it really well. He said he had a really good first season running as the second hit-up man after Paul Vaughan. Birdo coming in, and the fact that we could get a roll on in some games, and we were actually under Barrett in those first 10 games. We only got blown off the park once against the Storm. Every other game was tight, and we were in it. I think players like Max, he said, learning that new system was hard, and they all made defensive errors, and that cultivated with this culture of we're losing and we're going to get and sort of giving up. And apparently they just continued to focus on it. He's brought in some Jason Taylor because he is a smart, crafty little bugger. And I've seen the whole season. I've been defending our attack because I've seen variation in what they do. And then against that Broncos game, we just saw it all come together. But there was plenty of games where I'm like, we just did that so easily.
Yeah. Well, the second half of the Dragons, the Titans game, we put some points on at times, so the attack can click.
Look, the 2 Knights games, we smashed them, but I thought we were a bit clunky. But we're getting tries from, just that was sort of Penrith-like in a way, just hammering them into submission, defending all their errors and frustrating them, and then one pass off the ruck. But I'll tell you one thing which is starting to get noticed. Reid Marnie's passing is going to another level this year. It's back to what it was.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Because last year, again, he was trying to do too much. He even said it recently.
Yeah.
And, because when he first came, I just thought, well, he's going to unlock Burton. Marshall King took too long to pass the ball. If you watch him, he stands up before he passes. He doesn't pass off the ground very often. And it just takes away this Burton space. And I thought Marnie's going to unlock him, but he didn't because he tried to run the ball way too much. This year, he's gone back to it. He's unlocking him. He's hitting Sexton, outside of his opposite defender. And it's just brilliant.
Oh, the try for the Fox on the weekend, the ball from Marnie from the scrum. Just bang. The game against the Broncos, it was, as you were saying, he was just putting Sexton on the outside of the player and then running onto the ball, And I was watching that Brendan Hands at Parramatta is not a bad little dummy half either. And they got a couple of good little hookers there, but Moses is just, their halves just aren't getting the ball the same service that they're getting from Marnie.
That's right.
to run onto the ball, and it's costs them a little bit. And when you lose a little bit in this game, as we've seen, it can cost you a lot over 80 minutes. Burko disagrees. How is he the best in the game? What did the Fox do for Australian World Cup? He was the best player in the Australian team. Yeah.
Look, I noticed there were some things that I missed from Wilson on the weekend. Like when the ball was up in the air, I was more confident when Wilson's under it than Fox. But I just wouldn't swap Fox for any other winger, like in an attacking sense.
Yeah, and by the time the Fox is ready to retire or to move on, Wilson's going to be so much better.
Oh yeah, if he's still at the club, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, and as far as you've got to, and this is where I go back to Phil Gould and that, you've got these players in our system who are doing everything they can, doing everything right. He's going to help them. You know, I'd be pretty surprised if Gus didn't call Wayne Bennett about Jake Averillo. You know what I mean? There was no talk about re-signing Jake Averillo. It never got talked about by the club. Apparently his manager, who's the same management company that does Burton and a few other, and Alamotti. You know, I just think that they really do care for the players' careers and they want them all to do well.
Yeah,
I really do believe that.
Well, when they put in for you, you're gonna look after them. Yeah,
it's and even I even felt like they gave RFM the chance to redeem himself. You know, it was all in the media, which was designed to hurt him. But the stuff that come out from those text messages was terrible about the club. Yeah. But he had that chance to redeem himself. He was training with the guys. He was doing stuff, and he got himself a contract with the Dragons, and he's going well, and he's repaying them. So.
Good money.
Spine will be Josh Papali, Mitch Woods, O'Neill, and Hayward. I honestly can't see that happening, Mark. Not for a long time.
I don't think they see Hayward as a spine player anymore.
Yeah, I think we've got a bunch of footballers in our side and in our squad.
Yeah.
But some of those juniors, even potentially an O'Neill or a Hayward or even a Joash, I'll say all those three except Mitch Woods could all find themselves elsewhere at some point. You never know because they're all going to develop as great footballers.
Yeah. And
you haven't even named players, Mark, that are actually going to be the future of our club. We haven't even seen some of them yet. It's a hard thing to imagine, though. Trust me. But it's going to get a lot better. Do you think the Dogs re-sign Skelton and Sexton for next season?
Well,
Sexton's already signed, buddy. Yeah. And I said, Gerald Skelton will be re-signed for next year at least, I think. But Sexton, there's chat that the Broncos are going to be coming after him and that his manager is, it's usually the manager when you're hearing stuff in the media. So
I didn't believe
he'll be looking for an upgrade, Toby.
I felt like that was just trying to destabilise I don't think the Broncos are after him.
Well,
Sam Walker would be better fit.
The Brisbane media and fans are in absolute free fall at the moment about the Broncos.
They're just trying
to
look
heavy. Last year they were comparing the Broncos with us about how quick their rebuild was. Now this year they're saying that they've gone backwards as a club. I think they've had a lot of injuries, and I hate the Broncos, but they've got excuses for this season. And there's some young guys like that, Willison and Piakura and all that, Dean Mariner, they've all struggled this year. Ezra Mann, Maurice Walsh, they're going to be competing with the Bulldogs in a few years for titles, I think.
I wonder how much the whole Vegas thing, takes a toll on the teams. It'd be interesting to see next year. Like this time next year, the teams that go next year, how they sort of pull up.
Yeah, very interesting point you've raised, and it has been raised.
Yeah.
But Souths have really struggled. They should have been 0-8, except for the Sutton factor. The Roosters were hot and cold, as we saw. At the start of the season, Manly we sort of were hot and cold, and then you've got the Broncos who were looking all right, but then when Reynolds went down, yeah.
I'm also surprised that Penrith are one of the teams going to Vegas because the World Cup Challenge is the week before, so I still don't know how logistically that works. Does that mean the NRL assumes that Penrith aren't going to win the comp this year?
Well, Canterbury's. My son was telling me that it's all rigs so the Dogs win it this year. I'm like, oh, okay.
If you make top 4, I'll believe that. And we beat Melbourne in Melbourne. Yeah.
I've done my predictor about 20 times, and it always ends up on Canterbury versus Penrith in the grand final.
Yeah.
And I've changed some results around in that. And then week to week, obviously, it changes because you get half of them wrong. Yeah, so interesting how it's going to be. But we've talked about Suluka Fifita. We could talk about Tupanua in a moment as well. But let's talk about Tom Amone, mate. Tell me about him. What are you seeing?
Oh, wow. I was very impressed. The first game I saw, I was sold. He's everything that the Bulldogs were looking for in a forward, other than maybe the height and the size. But he kind of reminds me a bit of Roy Astatazi, and he's very all-rounded in his game. He's got great line speed, good hands. He reads numbers really well.
Yeah.
He effort on effort plays, so he'll come in a third man, and then he'll be looking to make that next tackle. He's everything you want in the front row.
That gives me confidence, mate.
Seriously.
Seen a few highlights. He's never beaten, sort of thing.
No, he just loves it. He even has James Graham qualities, but not without the passion. He's a forward leader, and he's exactly what we need. Like, I'd be very, very now. You got to remember that everything I've seen was in Super League, but a lot of those effort areas can translate regardless. He doesn't get dominated in tackles. He doesn't necessarily have a lot of post-contact meters, but So as long as he can translate to NRL, then he's on a winner for sure. But he won't lose out in all the effort areas that the Bulldogs are looking for.
That's bloody great to hear, mate. And thanks for sharing that, because a lot of us sort of don't really know, and people aren't watching the Super League and that. And I've watched a fair bit of it, but not enough. And there's some players I look at and I go, they could go all right at Canterbury. We could be looking at these guys, but it's hard to fit them in now.
It's going to be some exciting times.
All right. The Wilson debate keeps on. Wilson has won us more games than the won us more games. No, he hasn't.
No, they kick to him because he doesn't have a great return.
Wilson has been getting crunched all season. As I said, he had a good game against the Cowboys, good game against the Eels. He is a real effort player, and I felt last year he was able to, and some of this year as well, he's actually good at getting through the first contact. And finding his front and breaking a couple of tackles too. But I think they've done their homework on him, which shows they know that he's got talent.
Mm-hmm.
He's a footballer, no doubt. But we've had this debate raging on for a while. The Foxes, they were trying to talk about, the Foxes low on tries this year. They mentioned it the other day. That was his 8th game. And he scored doubles in 4 of them. And until 2 weeks before, he was still number 3 or number 2 in total line breaks for the season. So if that doesn't tell you how bloody good he is, and the fact he's put on that weight, which I think might be detrimental to some of his issues that he's had. But who knows? That's just an opinion.
Yeah, I think it's given him more confidence to run the ball back though, because he feels stronger.
Well, he didn't get pushed back in the contact once on the weekend.
He's got a good ability to get low, so he just falls straight down. So it's good. But, obviously, you'd rather Skelton run at the back, But we don't score that try that he scored. There's so many tries we don't score this season.
Well, I'll tell you something, Mark. Who's got better run meters out of Critter and Bronson Cherry over the season? Bronson Cherry has. So I think he's got about the same amount of tries. He makes more tackles as well. So that's stats, but it's the way the game's played and the way they're utilised. They don't always. Critter is a special player who's used for special moments, and Fox is a little bit the same. If Wilson and Fox are in the same team, Wilson's going to do most of the work because he's better equipped to do it than the Fox. But as we said, the Fox is a bit more confident into the contact. But round one against, what was his name? Bloody Bryce Cartwright smashed him and took his confidence away for a bit.
Big time.
Yeah. Because when he came back against South, he was soft into the contact in that game before he got hit in the head. But that's what people got to understand. These wingers have got to put it on the line sometimes to get tries.
Oh, yeah.
But these stats things, saying it's like people saying Calm Pereira is a better winger than Brian Toto because Calm Pereira's got so many tries and whatever else. And To'o's only got 9 tries.
Yeah.
They do different jobs, man. They're different players to their teams. They're footballers. They're not just the winger,
Yeah.
Mitch will be at the Dogs in 2026. Watch this space.
Which Mitch?
Can hardly hear you, bro.
Oh, sorry, dude.
No, I could hear you, though. You sound good.
I'll talk later.
Fifita won't play first grade this year. He probably won't, Mark, because he's got to get fit. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
But with the ball, he's an absolute beast. Without it, the fitness has to come up, and that's what they're focused on. And he's had that major issue. It's ACL injuries. That's what I was impressed with, though. For a player who has been out that long with an ACL injury, I haven't seen a player, even though it was New South Wales Cup, just run so hard into the contact after that sort of injury ever.
Awesome.
Oh, Mark, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chupanua. Let's talk about him. Where does he fit in?
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, Mark would like this because I think he's potentially a replacement for Kickow long term. That could be wrong, but I just don't see how he fits in because Preston is definitely a long term second row for me. So I just don't know where he fits in.
I think as that mobile forward in the short term, and I also see Jacob Preston potentially playing lock at some point because he's coming in the middle at times and he's just an animal. But I love Kurt Mann and I love Curran and I love when Hayward comes on. So it's like,
yeah, I know. Until I can see someone do a better job, yeah.
Just do your head in trying to think where all this is going to go.
I just can't imagine that they bought him to play on off the bench. They could have, but I doubt it.
I think what they just see is a player who gives it 100%, who chases hard, runs hard. And you might be right about that Viliami contingency plan. A player who's tall, he's actually more of a similar build to a Preston. He's
rangy.
he's rangy, yeah. The kick out is just all power. But he does work hard from the inside and that sort of thing, and he does make his tackles. And with the right attitude, I think he's going to give confidence to the club and the players around him. He's going to be good for the club. He's come from a good system. They're going to have to find a position for him in the 17.
Because I don't think we bought him as a utility as such, because even I heard Serraldo say recently that every player that we bought, they had a plan for. They were never bought as a utility. They saw Jamin Salmon as a second rower. They saw Connor Tracy as a fullback. And the only reason he didn't start the season at fullback is because he didn't have a preseason. It wasn't through anything else. So, so I'm guessing they have a plan for Satili, but I don't know where he fits.
It's all to be revealed. Because, I can't really elaborate on that either. I'm in the same boat. I'm like,
and it's a good thing to think about. Like, it's an exciting thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see how it works.
9 runs for 90 metres with 7 tackles. Mark, 7 tackles on the wing. How many tackles did Kogarah make?
Why are you looking at his tackles?
He's a winger. They don't make many tackles, mate.
7's pretty good.
He's also been out for ages.
He mustn't have missed many, otherwise he would have put that stat in.
9 runs for 90 metres with 7 tackles.
What about the 2 tries? The 8 points he scored.
I know. These people just have it in for the Fox. They do.
Yeah. That's all right.
I don't know why. But anyway. All right. Love you, Adam. No, Mark, the answer's not clear. You have a belief, lots of people agree with you as well, that Wilson should feel, both Wilson and Scalp could have felt disappointed for not being picked the next week.
Well said, Adam.
100%. But guess what? They know that when Critter and Fox comes back into the side, Cherry and Kogarah aren't going anywhere, so they're going to have to make way.
Yeah.
And they're quite aware of it. Marnie needs a lot of credit, especially recently. I'd say he's the best hooker running around without a doubt. I tend to agree with you. He's in the top 2 hookers in the game at the moment, mate. 100%. He's cut down his emotion. He's cut down his mistakes. He's increased the quality of his pass. He's pacing himself in the games a lot better. He's still playing long minutes. He's still putting the work in. He's missing 1 or 2 less tackles per game as a result, because he's not expending as much energy, and he's not going for the 40-20 every time we fall behind in a game, or going for the Hollywood play. He's kicking to turn them around strategically rather than just go for the the big moment. 100% agree. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, he's been exceptional, man. I can't really add much more to that. I did notice that Matt Burton was nominated for Player of the Month. He was one of a handful of players nominated for Player of the Month. So that's pretty cool.
Birdo's definitely thinking run first. And what I really liked on there was a play by, I'm getting off Burton, but when Sexton ran against the Raiders on the weekend, God, he was close to getting through.
Yeah, I remember that.
I wish he had too. But if he breaks through and we run and score a try off that, it would have been massive at Belmore. But I think it adds another 100K to his next contract too.
Yeah.
But knowing that
the more he gets through, the more time he gets to Burton the next time, when they're jamming in on him. But I do worry about Burton's goal kicking. I know it gets talked about a lot. And I've been a big defender of his, but geez, I'm worried it's going to cost us in a big game.
Yeah.
The problem is I haven't seen any evidence of who can do a better job, so I can't really have an opinion.
He's nailed a lot of clutch stuff. Yeah, we've lost a couple of games by 2 or 4 points where he's missed a couple of
Yeah,
goals.
those games don't worry me. It's the games where we win, like the Dragons game. I think he missed about 4 or 5 in that game. There's been some games that even the Broncos game. Oh no, I think he only missed 1 in that. But yeah, there's been some games where it's worried me. Like, yeah,
I think Toby might be the one to see. For me, that's another thing I look at.
they're not going to change it. They're not going to change it.
I think it's a case of Matt's our leader in our club, and he wants to kick. And as long as he wants that job, the coach is going to back him. The captains are going to back him.
I've got this theory that as a goal-kicking half, you're more likely to get Dally M points. So if you kick 4 goals, you score a try, you set up a couple, you're going to get the 3 points every time. You know, and that goal-kicking just sways it. So I think it's kind of like a bit of a carrot to players to say, all right, I think they've given it to Burton, because otherwise they take it off you. I can't see he's not kicking well enough to justify keeping it. And so I know.
Well, he was actually second in percentage last year. I think Critter had a 0.5% better.
Yeah, we had
he was
Fox going under the post a lot
last year. The first year he was only about 73%, and he started bad. This year he's at 71%. So he's I have this look that there's nothing to say that anyone else who took those shots would have kicked the goals anyway. But
I agree. Yeah.
But Toby at the start of the year in New South Wales Cup, I watched a couple of games where he didn't take his time and didn't kick the ball right.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was a point in the season in Cup, I think about 3 or 4 games in, where he just started nailing it from everywhere.
Yep.
And I think he's someone who could do it. I just think it's logical to take to even give it to Crichton. You want Matt Burton to run more. That means he's got to kick less, which is probably why he's put the big bomb away.
Yeah.
Not to mention half our team gets offside when he does his Burton bomb.
Yeah. It also gives the players running back just open field. It's not a safe kick.
Yeah. I think we're doing better because he's put it away in a way.
I agree.
Yeah, very good point. But him doing the goal kicking, it's all taken toll on his legs and his fitness. So there's another player who's not going to do as much of the kicking, and they can take over the goal kicking. They're probably more likely to do it. There's lots of theories out there that I've heard about. If you score a try, if you're the goal kicker and you've just scored a try, you shouldn't kick the goal because your heart rate's too high and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah, makes sense. But so Toby, he's signed until the end of 25, so he can start negotiating with teams in November, but he hasn't re-signed or anything yet.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Perfect. I didn't see that.
That's okay.
Manly, boo. Dragons, boo. Give us some stats, Mike. He gave us some. I told him to just stretch him out. Those who won the 100 metres, an American last won the 100 metres in 2004.
Yep.
Canterbury Bulldogs won the premiership the same year. This year, an American won the 100 metres.
Yeah. What about we played the Cowboys in 95 in the final round. We had a home game. We beat them by 60. We played the Cowboys this year.
There you go.
We beat them by 60, then
at home. It's game on.
Yeah. It was Terry Lamb's last game. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he is. He really is. Yep. Tom Amone, absolute effort on effort player. That's the biggest thing I took away from watching him.
Mark, what are you talking about with the laugh out loud? Do you want me to buy it or what? I'd say an effort on effort player would be Josh Curran, which I've talked about a million times.
Jamin
Salmon, who I've defended while people have attacked him. Kurt Mann.
Bailey
effort on effort player. Being the big prop in the team, it's hard to be an effort on effort player. Max King is an effort on effort player. And knowing he's made hardly made any mistakes in defence this year.
It also comes down to doing your job and then doing your player's job next year. That's to really simplify it. Like you watch a player that, they don't give up once the ball's been passed. They'll shift across and cover their own mate. Let's just make them doing more than you need to.
And they'll be the player running beside the fella taking the hit up to try and draw attention or to try and draw that third or fourth man away from the contact.
Yeah.
And they'll do it 20 times a game and they won't get the ball.
And their heads don't go down, their hearts don't go up. They just get back in the line and do it again.
That's an effort on effort player. And guess what? I think he probably thinks players like Burton and the Fox aren't effort on effort players. Every player has their moments. People get tired.
Skill players aren't necessarily meant to be, they're the X factor for when all the effort's done.
I've said this a few times this year, D, about last year when we were talking about Jake Averillo. He was only averaging 80, 90 metres a match. But he was the one making the line breaks and icing the plays when we needed it.
Yeah.
And then Kogarah is just special.
Yeah.
And Kogarah is getting 7 or 8 or 9 tries a game. A season. All special plays. You can compare him with a player like Brian Toto. Effort on effort on effort, and does special moments as well. Great finisher.
Yeah.
But they all play their part. Stephen Crichton only averages, I think 104 metres at the Bulldogs.
Yeah, most of his efforts are off the ball. We don't see, though. That's the thing.
All pushing from the inside. Kick out.
Yeah.
Effort on effort on effort. On effort.
Mm-hmm.
I can't repeat it enough. Mike believes if the Storm get first and we get fourth, we can 100% beat the Storm at Amy Park. Then we verse the Roosters in the prelim at a core, which might get 50,000, mostly Dog fans, and we can beat the Panthers in the grand final. That's pretty much how I have the ladder predictor falling most on most scenarios, Mike call.
That's the most confident route for me, yeah, definitely.
And I still haven't forgiven the Storm should never have won the comp in 1999. We had them beaten in that sudden death game, and we looked like we could win a comp that year, and we didn't. So I want to smash the Storm, plus for 2012 and every other bloody time.
I don't know. We've knocked them out a couple of times.
We have actually, haven't we? Even when we haven't been going that good.
Yeah, 98, we knocked them out. When Sherwin one of Sherwin's first games.
Yeah. Good old Shifty, he said Ricky Stewart taught him a lot.
Yeah.
So, people are like, why are you paying all that money for Ricky and Brad Clyde and that? I think that put us into a lot of cap trouble, that stuff. But they cost a lot of money. Yeah, agree, Aussie.
Yeah.
Ross Palmer, he loves the old Bulldogs, and he pops in with a little short comment every week. He says Harry Hayes as the breed, his grandfather Merv Hicks, the pale whale, was a great front rower who didn't mind a scrap.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's in his blood. He's got the dog in him. Yeah, I read an article about the pale whale and Harry last year, actually. Should get that up. I hope Hayes stays with us for a while. I love him. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. Adam's glad that Stephen Crichton's our captain because he's killing it. He thought the Fox would have been good as well.
Yeah, I heard him get mentioned as a potential next immortal. Not the next immortal, but an immortal.
Well, Pete's come on with a bit of mail here. Pete's heard something that Joe Ash could be going. He can't divulge. Enjoy what we have. Wilson and the likes will have their day. Yeah. Look, he's one of those players who can play in the spine, and he's obviously got talent. But I don't see I'm just trying to sort of piece together what Pete said here, and that would sadden me greatly if he did leave. But if I'm looking at what's in front of him,
that's it.
He could be top 30 value to a team right now who would pay money to have him. You know what I mean? He could become the next man up somewhere, and I just can't. If Tracy goes down, I just think they're going to look to a Crichton. They're going to look to a Taff. They're going to look to a Jacob Carraz, and bring people who they've had there. It's sort of not a positional next man up. It's like they're just bringing in the players with the attitude and the effort, and they've got. I think there's a little bit of both, but what I'm trying to say is that Skelton and Wilson come into the squad, and one of those other players move out into the fullback role.
Yeah, I think last year.
I might have to follow up on that, Pete, and try and find out.
Yeah.
If there's any truth to that. There's not too many people I know, but I know a couple of people that might be able to help me.
I think last year he would have looked at it, Joe Ash, and thought that his pathway to fullback isn't blocked, and that it's just a matter of him being ready. But now that Cherry's sort of cemented that spot, and you can see that Taft's the next man up, and then all these other players, he probably would look for another opportunity now. So
you wouldn't blame me, would you?
No.
You wouldn't blame his manager. Wouldn't be doing his job if he did. I'd be like, oh bloody hell! Look, Mark mentioned it early in the year that the Roosters will come knocking, and I've always thought that could be a potential. There's a bunch of clubs out there that would benefit from a really talented player like Joe Ash as the next man up. But I just can't. That's what I mean. We can't keep everyone. If everyone wants Wilson and Skelton in the squad. Where does Joe Ash fit? Yeah. How long does he wait for his opportunity? It's not bad management by the club because
we can't keep Skelton. You look at Penrith, they couldn't keep Charlie Staines, for example, and I'd put Staines in the same sort of level as Wilson. So you just can't keep them all. And then you've got to start bringing up the younger ones. Keep the ones you want in first grade, but then your backups have to start being younger players because the players that are in first grade are going to demand more money. So.
Charlie Staines is a very underrated footballer, man. I watch his games for West. He puts in 100% every week.
Yeah.
Can be exposed defence in that.
Yeah.
Hey?
You come from the right system, that's why.
Yeah, well, there's all these players that they've had to let go, and youngsters as well. Isaiah Katoa's gone to Redcliffe. Matt Burton's gone to Canterbury. We've got Critter, who's been called the second best player in the game now.
Well, they lost Coruscant and fucking Staines. They're going to lose
Kikau, Capewell, Taruva, Jerome Luai. Like,
James
just quietly, I'll say this. I think Gus actually has his opinion of Jerome Luai is as high as Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, I've heard him talk really highly about him. Well, he would have had him and Burton as the origin halves.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Two left footers just doesn't make sense to me. But
no, I think there's a bit of bias there. Yeah,
but sometimes Gus says stuff, and
yeah,
you never know if there's something else behind it.
The ulterior motive for sure.
Oh, Michael, great study up.
Oh, yes,
this one.
Back.
By the way, guys, when Kikau played his 100th game, it was against the Dragons, in which he won. We're now playing the Dragons on his 150th game, which we want. Oh, hopefully we win.
I like it.
Put your house on it, Michael. Here it goes. Big game from Kick, so I have to do a post. I'll put my house on the Fox. Let's go. Let's trot. Dave, Mark Connell, having an opinion based on stats is not always a good judge. example. We miss the most tackles, but we have one of the best defenses in the game.
You don't want to bring up missed tackles with Mark.
So you remember those little shape balls we had as kids? We could only fit. We're supposed to put the things into the right shape.
Yeah.
Well, I could fit most of those things into most shapes. So not everything has to be one way, you know.
Yeah, square peg and a round hole.
Yeah, exactly. A season sometimes can change 3 times within it. Yeah. And this is, I'll tell you what, people had a thing against Jason Taylor and they've never forgot. We played a game in 2012 where he come out and he spoke about the Bulldogs were basically doing shepherds. And they never focused on it the whole, and we got away with the whole season. Then they started penalising us for it after Jason Taylor pointed it out. And there are a lot of fans have never forgotten that, which is why there was a bit of angst when he was coming to the club. And also the fact that he took over Mick Potter at Wests and all this sort of stuff. But I'll tell you what, Jason Taylor's helped our club a lot this year.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. How do we shape up after the Raiders injury-wise? There's been no reports. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think they're all carrying injuries. It's under good authority that we're as busted as any team out there at this point of the year. And, you know, Mark's right when he was saying the kick out was played a little bit busted. I felt the Cherry's been behind. Critter's had issues. You saw him limping around everywhere. The Fox has got his hams. He's got the Chook Heron tights on his hamstring.
Oh my God.
You know, last year Jake Kogarah played half a season with a fractured back. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mark says the stats never lie. Oh, Lakeside, welcome back, mate. Glad you've come on. Birdo doesn't do his kicking game against the Sharks. If we don't win, it needs to be horses for courses. Yeah, mate. Certainly does. But look, I 100% don't disagree with anyone who's worried about Matt Burton as a goal kicker because, as Mark says, the stats don't lie. He's missed 29 out of every 100 he's taken this season, which when you win a comp, generally you need a goal kicker that can nail those moments. I think Matt can nail the big moments, but it remains to be seen. And if, you know, and I do rue the day that if we're in a grand final or semi-final, he misses some goals and we lose the match, how that's going to be taken by the I told you so's.
Yeah.
Anyway. Dave. On Burton, he has found his place in the team of late. He isn't the best all and end all for this Bulldogs team. He's realised he's just part of the team, and quite frankly, I'm impressed.
That's a backhanded compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the best you're going to get from Mark. We actually played the Wars in the third last round in 95. We got smashed 29-8. This year we play the Wars in the third last round.
Well, as I said with the Cowboys, yeah, we played the Cowboys in that final round and smashed them, put 60 on them at Belmore.
2004.
And 95.
Was that in
1995. Terry Lamb's last game. But then he came out of retirement, and then we actually played the Cowboys again in that final game in 96.
It's funny because 2004, I think the Cowboys beat us in the first semi.
Yeah.
We had to go the back way through.
Ty Williams, I think, fucking killed us.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that doesn't happen. If it does, it does. In my predictor, I've written that game as a loss for the entire season. Warriors at home. But
well, you were worried about this game too, the Dragons game, weren't you? I remember a couple
I'm worried about every game, mate. I was worried about the Dragons game the first time. I think it just means a little bit more to me, and that's the white elephant in the room when it comes to me, is that I really want to see the Dragons get smashed more so than before because Flanagan and RFM are in the side. Players like Ben Hunt, who to me, I'm going to leave the club. I'm not going to the Bulldogs. I don't want to get. Blah, blah. You know, fuck him. Five Canterbury smashes him, and he's number one in try assists this year, clearly ahead of nearly every other player in the comp. He's number one, way ahead.
Yeah.
So he can play, that guy. And they got a big side. And I just think it pisses me off the commentators are sort of saying how great the Dragons have been under Flanagan, when I think they're just hitting the mark. And I think there was things put in place in the previous years which have got them to that point. And that's always neglected when it comes to media and fans and whatever else.
Yeah, there were also a lot of them were mates of Flanagan because he was working for Fox. So, bit of bias there.
Mike said that was the first time we played the Wars ever. Here's another stat, Mike. The Wars were the only side that has beaten Canterbury the first time they've played them. Since they've come into the competition.
Wow.
So North Queensland, Brisbane, Western Reds, all these sides that come into the comp and played us for the first time, we beat every single one of them. The Warriors were the only team to beat the Bulldogs the first time they met us.
Yeah, I like that.
Another stat. Because I remember I was just being at school and, you know, kids going on about the Broncos and how good they were coming in 92 and that. And I'm like, they still haven't beat the Bulldogs.
They came in 88.
Eh?
They came in 88.
Yeah, they came in 88. It took them 3 years, I think, to beat the Dogs. I think it was 91 when they got us. I actually watched them at Belmore. We smashed them.
Good times.
They asked me where I was at 8:15 p.m. tonight, and I was right here watching a live stream with my Bulldogs family.
That's
love you, brother. I remember Michael saying that the Dogs win against a new team every time except for the Wars. So I've said it before, yeah.
That's a good one.
I forget the amount of shit that I've repeated. The first time we play them. Effort is huge with the team. We have not having big bodies. 100% Lakeside. First game Mike ever went to was versus the Titans for the first time back in round 3 in 2007. We knocked them out in 2014. Would we get a virtual home team against the Sydney side regardless of where we finish? Won't they be played at Accor? I think once they get to the prelim stage, it goes to Accor. So, you know, for Canterbury, that's for teams like Penrith. But if we had to play the Roosters and they finished top 4 and we didn't, and we came in against them, we'd have to play them at their home ground because it's the closest ground to them and it's considered a prestige stadium in Sydney. Whereas it would be at Accor if it was Penrith or Canterbury or Parramatta or someone like that. I think Parramatta would have to go to Accor rather than play at Combank.
I think probably other than Melbourne and the Warriors, regardless of where we play, we'll turn the ground into a home ground field just through how loud our fans are.
Good old. All right, Michael. Michael. Is that how they sound when they when you're in trouble too, Michael? Michael. I'll just call you Michael. How does that sound, Michael? If we lose Joash, we lose premierships without him. Kids are gone. Mark, look, I'm going to call you out here. Last year, you were trying to basically say I was attributing success to one player, which couldn't be further from the truth. That statement there and the statement before about that Wilson's won more games for us than the Fox, you're attributing our success to one player. It's time for you to eat your words, brother. But still, stay subscribed.
Yeah,
keep watching. Hi, everyone. Does anyone know if Ricky Stewart whinged at his post-game pressure at Belmore?
Not really.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. Yeah, not really.
Just
I was waiting for it.
Up, didn't he?
Yeah.
I know how to manage young players. But no, he was actually very complimentary of both sides. And he basically said both teams exposed each other. And
yeah, well, he had to get out of Belmore, so it's probably a smart idea.
I think the shame of this season was we didn't get to see the weak gutted dog run up against the Raiders, because I think that was, that could have been
funny if he had him in the press conference instead of like Critter.
If Jamin come in, well, he's been in the box with Serrato on that.
Yeah,
recently.
I noticed that. Yeah,
it's bad management. So is it bad management if? Sorry, mate, but if Joe Ash, this could be complete bullshit. If Joe Ash has an opportunity to join the top 30 and get really good money and be basically guaranteed to be the next man up in a spine position, he's a good player and he's got a lot of upside. He's not at the level of a Blake Wilson when it comes to NRL yet. I think he will surpass Blake. That's my gut feel. I think he's got lots of great attributes. But who are you to say that it's bad management?
Yeah.
If the club's not standing in his way and helping him find a better income for him and his family and an opportunity, as much as I know he loves Canterbury and Canterbury loves him, that is love. And he's someone who you can see is putting in the effort, but his pathway's blocked, which you actually said you're worried about the start of the season, Mark, and I agree. And I disagreed. I thought that he'll have an opportunity, but the way it's panned out with the season, the players that have emerged, I just don't know where he's going to get his opportunity from, and that's going to hold him back. And why would you hold a player like that back if you've got players that are performing to a standard that they cannot be removed from the side or the squad? He's not outperforming them right now. Doesn't matter what you say or what you think he might do. That's not the case, because if he was, he'd be in the side. And, if it goes pear-shaped for the players that are in the side now, it turns out we were wrong about it and he becomes a $1 million player, well done to Joe Ash and sucked into us. But that's all I'm going to say about it, man. You got any thoughts, D?
Well, for me, it just comes down to trust, like within the players. Like if they have a mutual trust, they'll get their opportunity and they take it, they'll stay there because the players trust in them. At the moment, they have trust in the players that are doing the job. I even think if his opportunity came, I don't think, like you said, I think someone else would, they'd just move players around because I just don't think there's that trust for him to do the job at the moment. And they just don't think he's ready. And I agree. So whether we keep him or not, I don't know. Like,
and it's all just our opinions. We don't really know. Anyway.
I can't fault anything the club's done in the last couple of years. They've made all the right decisions. So who am I to say that this would be a bad decision? So
yeah. Anyway, it's sad. I don't like to think about it, but I'm sick of beating up on our club about every decision that they make.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to be positive.
Yeah. Let's just go for the ride, enjoy it.
Yeah, I like this one. This is more like it. Dave's on the right page, yeah.
Don't worry, we already have won against the Dragons. Unfortunately, they just don't know it yet. Dave's a champion, mate. We win this weekend, mate. I reckon Sharks are going to falter. And we're going to win 3 or 4 I reckon if we win this weekend, we can win 3 of our next 4, at least.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
There you go. Yeah, that's what you said earlier, D. We knocked them out in 2014.
Yeah, Sherwin from the scrum under the post.
Michael, he respects Ricky a lot, loves the passion he has for the Raiders, but I can see why a lot of people don't like him due to his whinging. Yeah, mate, 100% agree. Last time an NRL team won back-to-back Golden Point games, the Cowboys in 2017, they went on to play in the grand final. last time the Panthers won at Wynn Stadium, the Bulldogs went on to make the grand final. In 2024, Panthers finally won again at Wynn Stadium. No more. If the opposite, I attribute the team to 30 kids. If people like you lessen their impact, that's not okay.
Well, aren't you lessening, say, Fox's impact, for example, by talking up Wilson? Like, it's got to work both ways.
Yeah.
We just all have opinions at the end of the day. So.
They're all opinions, and who's to say you're wrong? It's one thing I learned. I've said Mark's wrong a few times, but that's because every statement he makes, he's right.
Yeah, I'd rather hear it from a Bulldog supporter than anyone else. I don't really care. So
yeah, that's it. That's right. Mate, we're in a good situation where we're performing well, and we get to debate players within the team and the squad still. Like,
yeah, it's a healthy debate. Yeah,
and I'm not listening. I've been one of the biggest supporters of Josh Papali as far as, I did a feature on him. I've talked about him often. And I know I'm not getting that many views. I don't care about that. But amongst Bulldogs fans that jump in and say hello, he's a real important kid, and he's performed at a standard which has meant that other players have had to perform at a high standard as well to keep their spots. I'm not doubting that, and I'm not lessening his impact. But as Dee just said, there's a whole heap of players in our club, and it goes beyond the top 30, that are all doing their best. And I've never seen a season where we've had so many people actually come into our squad from outside and then basically just say, we're here to stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you've got a player who's a representative winger and got the experience, and we're in this time of season, that's just a no-brainer. They come in. Wayne Bennett is going to bring the Fox into the side. Craig Bellamy is bringing the Fox in to that side, and he's replacing Wilson. Right? We're not talking about Remus Smith and Warbrick, and we're not talking about their players on lower salaries. We're talking about the pristine players in our club that don't act like they're that. Every great coach in the league is going to put those players, bring them back in. And Serrato is just doing exactly the same. You cannot tell me Craig Bellamy would have kept Blake Wilson in at the expense of the Fox. The Fox wanted to leave their club a year earlier, and they wouldn't have a bar of it. Mm-hmm. That's how important he was to their side. And he's been in just as good a form. He just hasn't had the troops around him, and now he finally does. If he can stay fit, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but I think those in the know get it. And you're diminishing his impact by saying that someone else should be there as well. So it goes both ways, mate.
Exactly.
Don't feed the trolls.
He's just passionate, man. He's just passionate.
That's it. And that's why I always have the time. That's why I always go into depth to respond, because it's respect.
Yeah.
You might not feel like you're being respected, Mark, but you are, because I'm actually doing my best to articulate my opinion and put forward my passion as well. So, and I appreciate it. Viliami kick-out press conference has just been released on the Canterbury Bulldogs site. So go and watch that shortly, guys. Because we're good. Do you think we beat the Dragons 1-12, or will it be like the family play against them back in a call? We will wrap this up though soon, D.
No, that's all
good. We've been going.
Plug me laptop.
Having a bloody good time. And I must say, you've been bloody fantastic tonight, mate. I've loved what you've said and learned a lot.
I appreciate it.
You don't like compliments? Humble old man. Or young fella, I should say. I All right. So Michael's saying it's going to be a great atmosphere.
Just on the thing before, someone saying about Belmore, I can't see them upgrading it, to be honest. Can you? I can't.
No, they're going to put the centre of excellence there. It's just not possible for them to reimagine a stadium there. And a core just makes it financially attractive. Like they make about $750,000 out of a game at a core.
That's right.
With 25,000 at it.
And they're lucky to break even at Belmore.
Yeah, they would have just broken even, definitely. But if they get anything less than 16,000 at Belmore, they're running at a loss.
That's right. Yeah.
I
don't know. I love it. It's Belmore's the favorite place to go, but I understand it's a business, and I'd rather see 40 to 50,000 at a core, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look, I went to Belmore for Josh Reynolds' day. I've said it a number of times. It was a great day.
Yeah.
It was hard to put a damper on it, even though the Broncos won. I was more disappointed in the New South Wales Cup performance against the Bears, to be honest. I thought, and Josh played in that game. But he had a good moment where he got an intercept, which was nice. But anyway, yeah, I want to see 80,000 at a call. I think you could get 65,000 Bulldogs Dragon supporters there.
Definitely.
And a bunch of others that have just come to watch it.
Yeah.
And anyway. And at Belmore games, you usually get about 2,000 or 3,000 Dragons fans who anticipate it and get their tickets early.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of fans at Kogarah. I think it'll be 1 to 12, yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's 13 plus.
Thanks, Mark. So how many can they get at Kogarah?
I think it's 18. I think it's the same as Belmore, maybe.
Similar ground, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got the hill. I guess they've got one more sort of area than we don't, but yeah. Sutton, yeah. We've overcome that. I think we can overcome it this week.
Jared Sutton's on field ref this Saturday and unfortunately damages confidence for the game. It does, definitely. Can we have Mike Wool on next week?
Yeah. Oh, cool.
You got your HSC. Are you sure, Michael? I'm happy for you to come on.
Is your HSC in Bulldog stats? Is that what you're studying?
Well, we could help you.
He's a legend.
You could come on here and study, mate.
20,000, yeah.
I got a TER of about 65 or something back in the day. So
see, I see Dragons fans as like half a supporter, so it's probably only 10,000.
That's different at Suncorp. They take one seat, but they got two heads. So there's 80,000 heads at Suncorp.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think we've covered a lot. I think we can look forward to next year. We can look forward to next week. Saturday night, I'm nervous as fuck.
Bring it on. I can't wait.
Thanks to everyone who's jumped on and contributed. Mark wants to adopt your mic. You've got a loving dad and mum. That's all right. We can bring them on as well. I'm sure
we're the family club. We're the family club. It makes sense.
We're the family club. That's right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, everyone else. We're going to finish the podcast now. Go the Dogs. Dogs by 8. Here I said it. Dogs by 8, 22-14 at Kogarah, leading the entire match, but having some scary moments along the way.
I'll take that.
You'll take that?
Yeah.
I'll end the stream and then I'll say goodbye to you afterwards.
Yeah, all right.
Michael says Dogs by 8. Let's go, everyone. Go the Dogs. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Bye.
Cheers all.